schools, public and private. We'll focus on civic leadership and public administration and business and entrepreneurship, the skills you need to serve your communities and start and grow businesses and run effective ministries. And you'll interact with Americans from all walks of life because our citizens, especially our young people, can learn from you too. You'll meet with leaders in business and nonprofits and government, including me. And I look forward to welcoming you at a summit that I'll host in Washington because I want to hear directly from you, your hopes, your dreams, what we can achieve together. And your time in America will be just the beginning. When you come back home, new grants will help you turn your ideas into new businesses and new nonprofits. And we're going to partner with American companies here in Africa to provide internships and mentoring and job opportunities to help you grow into the next generation of business leaders. We're going to partner with your governments and regional organizations here in Africa and foundations and civil society to amplify your voices as you stand up for democracy and equality. And with the connections you make as a Washington Fellow, you'll have something else for the rest of your life. And that is a network of Africans and Americans ready to collaborate on the future that you want to build. So this won't be the most expensive program that we have. But I actually believe this is going to end up being one of the most important. And it's important to me personally because it's a great way for me to show my faith and confidence in all of you. I believe in you, and I intend to make this a lasting part of our engagement with Africa beyond my presidency for years to come. We want to empower entrepreneurs like Fred Swaniker. Where's Fred? He's from Ghana. Where is he? There he is. So, Fred's got a fan club over here. Fred helped to start a biotech company and now uses his expertise to help other young Africans develop their leadership skills so that they can come back and put those skills to use, serving their communities, starting businesses, creating jobs. So thank you, Fred, for the great work that you're doing. We want to empower citizens like Khadija Patel. Where's Khadija? Where's Khadija? So, Khadija is a fearless journalist here in South Africa. She's reported on Sudan and Mali and the Democratic Republic of Congo. She's exposed the roots of conflict. She's challenged leaders as a voice for peace and justice. So we're very proud of the work that you do, Khadija. Thank you. We want to empower advocates like Jacob Jabari. Where's Jacob? Right here. So, here in South Africa, Jacob decided he was not going to hide the fact that he was HIV positive. He embraced it. He became a counselor. He helps guide others because he says the key to saving lives and slowing the spread of AIDS is an honest approach, and that takes great courage. Thank you, Jacob. And we want to empower women like Lebu Bogipane. Lebu. You know, growing up, Lebu endured domestic abuse and violence, which led to homelessness and hunger. Over many years, she didn't simply rebuild her own life. She built a crisis center here in South Africa that's helped thousands of women and children escape abuse as well. What a great legacy. Thank you, Lebu. So, building the future that you seek, realizing the vision that you have, not just for your own countries, but for the world, it will not be easy. It will not be easy. But as you go forward, I want you to think of the man who's in our prayers today. Think about 27 years in prison. Think about the hardships and the struggles and being away from family and friends. Reflecting on his years in prison, Nelson Mandela wrote that there were dark moments that tested his faith in humanity, but he refused to give up. And he said, "I'm fundamentally an optimist. Whether it comes from nature or nurture, I cannot say. Part of being optimistic is keeping one's head pointed towards the sun, one's feet moving forward. So in your lives, there will be time to test your faith. But no matter how old you grow, I say to all of you today, don't lose those qualities of youth. Your imagination, your optimism, your idealism. Because the future of this continent is in your hands. And if you keep your head pointed towards the sun and you keep your feet moving forward, I promise you will have no better friend and partner than the United States of America." Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So now I get to do what I really want to do, which is to hear from you. So why don't we open up for questions? And I understand that we've got somebody from South Africa here, perhaps.
Yes, the plan is to get somebody here in Soweto before we move across to other parts of the continent.
Okay.
The choice is yours, Mr. President.
Well, this is a good-looking group. Let me. I'm going to call on this young lady right here. Introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, President Obama. My name is Musa. I'm an attorney and I'm passionate about telecoms in Africa. My question is the African Growth and Opportunities Act. The term expires in 2015, and I understand that there's a bill which provides for an extension to 2019. Do you think this bill will be passed? And if it isn't passed, what do you think the impact will be on small states in Africa that are benefiting, such as Lesotho and Togo?
It's a great question. By the way, what kind of law are you practicing?
Oh, right now I actually do cross-border African work.
Excellent.
Yeah, M&A work.
Fantastic. For those of you who are not as familiar with it, the program we call AGOA is basically a trade arrangement that allows probably 95% of goods from Africa to come into the United States without tariffs, duty-free. And as a consequence, it obviously gives African exports a greater advantage. And the whole idea is that, historically, if you look at the relationship between Africa and the rest of the global market, dating back to colonial days, the idea was somehow that raw materials get sent somewhere else, they get produced somewhere else or refined somewhere else. Sometimes they're sold back to Africa, but the jobs, the value, the profits are all someplace else. And we graduated from those colonial times to the idea of aid, which continues to be critically important. There are parts of Africa where right now people just need food, or right now people just need medicine. And it is the obligation of wealthier nations to help deliver that food or that medicine. But everywhere I go in Africa, what's very clear is people want to break out of a dependency trap. The idea is not that Africa somehow should be the ward of some other country. What we need is an Africa that is building, manufacturing, creating value, inventing, and then sending those products around the world and receiving products in return in fair terms of trade. And if we do that, then there's no reason why Africa cannot succeed. So part of what I'm trying to highlight during this trip is the enormous opportunities for an Africa that is intimately integrated into the world market. I want small and medium-sized businesses and entrepreneurs and startups here in Africa to see their potential not just in the local market, but to be able to sell goods and services all around the world, and to bring those profits back to Africa and reinvest in Africa and hire Africans. And so as part of that, we want to make sure that the United States is a critical trading partner. And by the way, we're not doing it out of charity. We're doing it because if Africa is doing well, then now we've got a market of people who want to buy more iPads and Boeing airplanes and all the good stuff that we sell, right? And Africa, by the way, is the youngest continent, which means that demographically, this is going to be a larger and larger share of the world market. So specifically in terms of AGOA, you're right. The current AGOA structure expires in 2015. It is my hope that we get it renewed. Now, what I mentioned to President Zuma today, and I said this at a press conference, is that we will have to engage in some negotiations to find ways to both improve what we're currently doing, but also to reflect on the fact that South Africa is becoming more and more successful. And that U.S. businesses, in order for me to get it through Congress in the United States, U.S. businesses have to feel as if they're getting a level playing field relative to, for example, some of the European companies who are able to operate here, because there's a free trade agreement between Europe and the United States. But I'm confident that with good negotiations that we should be able to get it done. The broader point I want to make, though, is that the future is going to be in creating value here in Africa and making sure then that, like Southeast Asia and China and Turkey and all these other places around the world, that everybody is starting to see the benefits of global trade patterns. And Africa cannot just be a source of raw materials for somebody else. It has to be a source of the kinds of products and services and imagination that is going to be the future of the 21st century. All right? Thank you.